Hey, Magic fans, welcome back again. Today we've got the top 5 picks for modern cards that might see play coming from March of the Machines. This is going to wrap it up. We may even hit a little Pioneer here after this one if I'm feeling froggy. But hey, why not, right? So, thanks a lot. Like and subscribe helps keep the channel sponsor free. So, here we go. So we're going to start off with our honorable mention, the last and newest sword for a sword of once and future. It is the black blue sword, so 3 colorless equips for 2, +2/+2 protection from blue and black. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you get to surveil 2. Then you may cast a instant or a sorcery spell with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell would be put into a graveyard, exile it instead. This is a very interesting card. Um, I only gave an honorable mention because there's lots of other cards right now that seem to be doing better in these kind of decks that would use this, like the Stoneforge Mystic decks and what have you, that just have bigger bang for the buck, that have the exact same ability. Now, with that being said, this could easily round out the sideboard of a Stoneforge deck by having 4 or 5 swords in it for any situation. And the ability to have a free snap cast from the graveyard of 2 or less, it is pretty good. It only happens once. You do have to swing with something, so it makes me wonder if it's going to be or have the right kind of fuel in the graveyard to even make it worthwhile to begin with. I mean, lots of good stuff can happen with this, mainly Thoughtseize, other discard spells, Lightning Bolt, Path. Um, but with that said, that's all kind of situational against A, what you're playing, and B, after so long, do you want to keep using discard spells if the opponent's already been riddled with hand removal? So I think it's only an honorable mention. We're going to have to wait and see. But I do think it's a pretty good sword. So moving on, next we have number 5, Blood Feather Phoenix. So that mono red deck for 2 mana can get a 2/2 flyer, which is not bad. Unfortunately, it doesn't have haste, but it says here, whenever you cast a instant or sorcery spell you control, and it deals damage to an opponent or battle for 1 red, you can put this back on the battlefield, and it gains haste. So I want you to think about that for a minute. You could put this into your Phoenix decks, your Arc-like Phoenix decks, um, to discard into the graveyard just like the regular Phoenixes. And all it takes is to shock your opponent once, and then every red after that just gets you this Phoenix out of the graveyard. You can have multiple in there. It's not as good as the Arclight, but it's only 1 power less. Yes, it can't block, but it's very easy to just cast and make your opponent kill it to deal with it. But also, it's very easy to neuter the Phoenix deck if they, dig all your Phoenixes out of your graveyard by some thing. So this gives you another way to have that Phoenix deck to have another kill card that is very doable and can kill on top of the other spells in the deck. So I think this is probably going to play into that deck, and we're probably going to see a lot of it, maybe even in mono red. Bolt your opponent in the face, pay an extra red, fly over the top for 2. I mean, we play Shock for 2 mana, right? Why would you not play this? So something to think about. I believe we're going to see this probably in Modern just because of how easy it is to get out of the graveyard. The extra conditions are not hard, and discarding this to any kind of discard spell, Faithless Looting, even in Eternal maybe, can make it very easily playable. All right, moving on. Next we have in at number 4, Lithomantic Barrage. This is probably going to be relegated to a sideboard card only, but it is better than the normal card we had that did this. That was 1 red, did 4 damage to a blue or white creature. This does 5. This kills Yorion. And all the other cards that are bigger than the normal 4 damage still can't be countered. I think this is the next power creep up from that spell. So this is definitely going to be a sideboard card that we're going to see a lot of play from coming up in the modern format. Also, too, you can deal damage to a creature or planeswalker with it. It'll only be 1, but it's still something. The other cards only did damage to blue or white. So at least this one, As you know, a lot of creatures have 1 toughness. You know, Ragavan, Snapcaster, lots of stuff. It makes it easily sideboardable in because it will have multi-purposes. All right, moving on. Next, we have a number 3, Fairy Mastermind. This is going to be good because not only is it a 2-mana 2/1 flash and flying, so you can play it on the instep, so forth and so on, but Modern is full of draw spells where everybody's drawing at least 2 cards a turn, whether it be through Fiery Impulse, not Fiery Impulse, but any of the other spells, right, that let them draw cards. If you put 1 or even 2 of these on the battlefield, it's not a legendary, guys. You can have more than 1. You can really start filling up your hand and make your opponent have to deal with this before they start drawing a bunch of cards, because then their draw spells just won't do anything for them. I mean, think about it. If you're playing against a combo deck that just draws a bunch of cards, if you get this on the battlefield early and they don't deal with it, and you literally can just draw cards with them and just hope you find your counter spell, interaction, whatever it may be, to stop whatever it is they're doing. So I think this is going to be a very powerhouse card in Modern. And also a 2/1 flash flyer makes it hard to counter, makes it hard to block because it flies, and it does do damage. So I think this is going to definitely be a pretty sweet Modern addition. Next, moving on, we have number 2, Wren and Realmbreaker. That's right. If you guys remember, 2 and 3 mana is really the sweet spot for Planeswalkers in the Modern format. This fixes all your mana woes. I can't say it enough. It's a, it's a chromatic lantern, but it's a green and 2. And let's not forget, it says lands you control have add 1 mana. This can save you from your damage lands. If you're playing Mana Confluence, fetch lands, if you don't have to sack your fetch lands anymore because they'll tap for any color mana. This can stop a Blood Moon. Like, there's tons of things. Plus, it can kill people, make 3/3s and punch them in the face. I think this may be the card that takes over the spot that once, and I do say this with a heavy heart, that once Liliana the Veil held at 3 mana. This is a very powerful card, a very powerful Planeswalker. And if you happen to get it to 7, I mean, let's be honest. You're making 3/3s that they have to block to kill because they have hexproof. What are they gonna do? Let you tick this up to 7 and go ham with all the stuff in your graveyard? That's not gonna happen. Especially if you're playing Snapcaster mages. You lay a snap, play an instant. Oh, you killed it. Great. I'll play the snap out of my graveyard again. Play another instant. This card has tons of shenanigans, and it's right on par with Liliana the Veil. I think this is going to be a very powerful Planeswalker for the Modern format. Moving on, next we have number 1, coming in hot. That's right, it's an uncommon. It is Surge of Salvation. This card is making all the rounds in the videos. For 1 white, you and all your permanents gain hexproof. Just doesn't get any better. Now, if you prevent all damage that black or red sources would deal to creatures you control this turn, it's just a bonus. From 1 white, you can prevent Thought Seeds. From 1 white, you can prevent your Planeswalker from dying. You can prevent your creature from dying. You can prevent your lands from being blown up or targeted. There's so much that this card, it stops everything. It's like Teferi's Protection for 1. It's just absurd. Can you take damage to the face? Yes, you can. However, damage to the face isn't that bad as long as they're not messing with your stuff, because then you can make it up somehow. I can't say enough how impressed I am that this card was printed, and the fact that it was printed at an uncommon. Now, granted, I think it should have been a rare higher, but I can see why they didn't, because I think this card's easily going to be a $5 uncommon for a long time to come. And foils are probably be in the $20 range, if I had to be honest with you. That's just the way I'm feeling right now. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see how it can be. It just does too much. White's been weak for a while, and it's been looking for something like this to really put it on the map and make it sustainable and endurable enough that it can't get picked apart as easily as it normally would. So, with that said, guys, that's my top 5 for Modern from March of the Machines. Hope you enjoyed it. Put comments down below what you think. If you haven't subscribed, now's a good time. Those who have, thanks, I love you. And links in the description to eBay and Patreon, all that good jazz if you want to help out the channel and keep it alive. Until next time, let's be kind. And as always, I hope to see you across from the game table.